I'm live now. So we're getting the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge live stream going. Myself and a bunch of other characters are in there. So live impromptu performances. We spin randomly. We have no idea what scene or monologue is going to come Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wheel of Shakespeare, the second Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge for the month of September. We've got myself, Sheila, Alex, Maggie, Henry, Ted, and John here to perform with us today. And John has told us that he, unfortunately, is going to have to leave us early, and he has requested to go first, so that's fine. Let's see. So let's go to the wheel right now. We're going to find out what John is going to perform for us. Finding the wheel, finding the wheel. There we go. So John is going to perform Portia, the quality of mercy is not strained. Great monologue. So you do Portia. Let me create the banner for that. And, oh, and by the way, and I am on deck, so it's John first and me second.
Could you? Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't see that. What act and scene, please? I couldn't see it.
Act 4, Scene 1. I can't remember how many lines. Portia.
And that is what? Which play is that? I'm sorry.
The Merchant of Venice.
Oh yes.
Merchant of Venice, Act 4, Scene 1.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll take myself out of the stream, so it'll be just you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not quite here. Let me see here. Okay, Act 4, Scene 1. And then what are her first lines? I don't see her here in the scene.
The quality of mercy is not strained. I believe it's toward the end.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Oh yeah, it's about halfway through.
Yeah, here it is.
I locked on what compulsion must I? Tell me that's the cue.
And she is saying what? Just briefly.
You should be merciful. And he's saying, why should I be merciful? I say it's about being a decent human being, basically. That's why it's a famous monologue.
Okay, well, let me just see. The quality of mercy is not strained.
Oh, hold on. Are you starting or?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take myself out of the stream. Okay, so when I take myself out of the stream and then go.
Okay, thank you. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. His scepter shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above the sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute of God himself, and earthly power doth then show like as God's when mercy seizes justice. Therefore, true, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea, which if thou follow the strict court of Venice, must needs give sentence against the merchant there. Thank you.
Okay, very nice. So, John, we are glad you were able to join us, even though you have to leave us early.
So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Okay, so it is my turn now to perform, and then Ted, you are on deck. You'll go after me. But first, what I will be performing is, let's spin the wheel and find out what I'm going to be doing. I am ashamed that women are so simple, from the taming of the floor, the ultimate sexist monologue, and playing a woman character, calling to basers. You know what? I have performed this one before. I'm going to, I know I have, so I'm going to spin again. Oh, to be or not, of all the things to get, the most famous of them all. So I'm practically off book with this one, but I will go ahead and bring it up just in case I need it. Okay, here we go. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of trouble, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more. And by asleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. Die, to sleep. To sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. Who would bear the whips and scorns of time? The oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns the patient merit of the unworthy makes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin. Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but the dread of something after death? The undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus, conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with a pale cast of thought. In enterprises of great pith and moment, with this regard, their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Okay, thank you. All right, Ted, you're up next. Hello, Ted. Ted is going to be performing King Henry, once more into the breach.
3-3. Hold on.
Act 3, Scene 1. Act 3, Scene.
Scene 3?
I believe.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me.
No, that's not it.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's Act 3, Scene 1. I think that's a misprint where I put that on there.
Okay.
I believe it's right after the chorus scene.
I got it.
Give me a second to create the banner and Henry. Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead. Go ahead.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, or close up the wall with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock. O'erhang and jutty his confounded base, swilled with a wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. How hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war proof. Fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till evening fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining from the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit. And upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England, and St. George.
Always love that one. We go from my about as slow as and depressing as possible to such a fiery and rousing speech. Quite a contrast we see in Shakespeare, and you and I were able to bring it out. Okay, I forgot to I messaged Alex in the chat. I forgot to tell him before that he was the next up. I try to remember to do that, to not just let you know whose turn it is, but who's on deck. Alex, it's your turn, and then Maggie is on deck. She'll go next. So Alex is going to perform. Lancelot Gobbo from Merchant of Venice. Certainly my conscience will serve me to flee from the Jew. Act 2, Scene 2.
Okay.
Give me a second to create the banner while you're...
Certainly my conscience, right?
Yeah, it starts with certainly my conscience. Have you found... You ready to go, yep. Alex? Or?
Okay.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Certainly my conscience will serve me to run from this Jew, my master. The fiend is at mine elbow and tempts me, saying to be Gobbo, Lancelot Gobbo, good Lancelot, or good Gobbo, or good Lancelot Gobbo. Use your legs, take thy start, run away. My conscience says, no. Take heed, honest Lancelot, take heed, honest Gobbo, or as aforesaid, honest Lancelot Gobbo, do not run. Scorn running with thy heels. Well, the most courageous fiend beats me back. Via, says the fiend. Away, says the fiend. For the heavens, rouse up a brave mind, says the fiend, and run. Well, my conscience, hanging about the neck of my heart, says very wisely to me, my honest friend, Lancelot, being an honest man's son, or rather an honest woman's son, for, indeed, my father did something smack, something grotto. He had a kind of taste. Well, my conscience says, Lancelot, budge not. Budge, says the fiend. Budge not, says my conscience. Conscience, say I, you counsel me well. Fiend, say I, you counsel well. To be ruled by my conscience, I should stay with the Jew, my master, who, God bless the mark, is a kind of devil. And to run away from the Jew, I should be ruled by the fiend, who, saving your reverence, is the devil himself. Certainly the Jew is the very devil incarnate, and in my conscience is but a kind of hard conscience to offer to counsel me to stay with the Jew. The fiend gives the more friendly counsel. I will run, fiend. My heels are at your command. I will run.
Okay, very nice, Alex. Up next, we have Maggie, and then after Maggie, it will be Shelia. So Maggie is up, Shelia is on deck, and Maggie is going to perform. Oh, Maggie spun the one that I was going to do, but then I said I'd done it before.
Okay.
I don't know if you done, or if you wanted, I declined it if you wanted to.
5-2. Okay.
You're
I'm fine, yes.
Okay,
Okay. Tuning 5-2.
about 54 lines in.
All right.
I believe it doesn't start with "I am ashamed that women are so simple." I just put I think it starts before that, and I think I put in the most famous line from the monologue is to tie.
Well, it's a long one, correct?
Yeah, it's a long one for sure.
And it's right. It's kind of like the last big speech, correct?
Yes.
Anyway, I have one, and then that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, that'll work. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All righty. Fie, unknit that threatening, unkind brow, and dart not scornful glances from those eyes to wound thy lord, thy king, thy governor. It blots thy beauty as frosts do bite the meads, confounds thy fame as whirlwinds shake fair buds, and in no sense is meet or amiable. A woman moved is like a fountain troubled, muddy, ill-seeming, thick, bereft of beauty. And while it is so, none so dry or thirsty will deign to sip or touch one drop of it. Thy husband is thy lord, thy life, thy keeper, thy head, thy sovereign, one that cares for thee and for thy maintenance commits his body to painful labor, both by sea and land, to watch the night in storms, the day in cold, while thou liest warm at home, secure and safe, and craves no other tribute at thy hands but love, fair looks, and true obedience. Too little payment for so great a debt. Such duty as the subject owes the prince, even such a woman oweth to her husband. And when she is froward, peevish, sullen, sour, and not obedient to his honest will, what is she but a foul contending rebel and graceless traitor to her loving lord? I am ashamed that women are so simple to offer war where they should kneel for peace, or seek for rule, supremacy, and sway when they are bound to serve, love, and obey. Why are our bodies soft and weak and smooth, unapt to toil and trouble in the world, but that our soft conditions and our hearts should well agree with our external parts? Come, come, you froward and unable worms. My mind hath been as big as one of yours, my heart as great, my reason haply more, to bandy word for word and frown for frown. But now I see our lances are but straws, our strength as weak, our weakness past compare, that seeming to be most which we indeed least are. Then veil your stomachs, for it is no boot, and place your hands below your husband's foot, in token of which duty, if he please, my hand is ready. May it do him ease.
Very nice, Maggie. Okay, so we still have monologues from Shelia and then Henry, and then we will move on to our small scenes that will be randomly chosen. Okay, so Shelia is going to perform. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Okay, Macbeth. To be thus is nothing. Act 3, Scene 1. This is where he's bruised. He's upset about the witch's prophecy, even though he's king, and starting to make the plan to have Banquo killed.
Okay, let me see.
I believe to be thus is nothing is how the speech begins.
3-1, you said, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I unfortunately went to Folger, and it's taking me piece by piece through this. I'm hoping I can get to the. Oh, this is just taking too long. I'm going to go back to something else. Okay, this is a more familiar site for me. Sorry. 3-1. Okay. And the men, who are the men that are being brought before him?
I don't believe any. Oh, I believe it's. You're referring to at the end of the speech.
Well, it starts with "bring them before us."
Yeah, I believe it's the two murderers. The idea is he's planning to have Banquo killed because he's brooding over the witch's prophecy, the fact that even though he's become king, that what they said about Banquo, and so I may be wrong, but I'm not. This being my favorite of the plays, I think I know this one backward and forward. I'm pretty sure that's what the I'm pretty sure that's what the context of this speech is. He's about to have it follows up with his scene talking to the two murderers, bring them forth, and now he's basically his monologue is to the audience about justifying the murder he's about to hire contract killers to perform. So, have you found it? You're familiar with where to start?
I'm good.
So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
To be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. As much he dares, and to that dauntless temper of his mind he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valor to act in safety. There is none but he whose being I do fear, and under him my genius is rebuked. As it is said, Mark Antony's was by Caesar. He chid the sisters when first they put the name of king upon me, and bade them speak to him. Then prophet like they hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown and put a barren scepter in my grip. Thence to be wrenched with an unlineal hand, no son of mine succeeding? Oh, if it be so, for Banquo's issue have I filed my mind. For them the gracious Duncan have I murdered, put rancors in the vessel of my peace only for them, and mine eternal jewel given to the common enemy of man, to make them kings, the seed of Banquo, kings. Oh, rather than so, come fate into the list and champion me to the utterance. Who's there?
Okay, very nice, Silvia. Okay, so our last monologue before we move on to 2- and 3-person scenes will be done by Henry. And Henry is going to perform. Henry's going to perform Lady Hotspur, Henry IV, Part 1, Act 2, Scene 3. Act 2, Scene 3. You found it, Henry?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it start with?
I should have put the first one. Let me. Mark with. So Hotspur is.
Lady Hotspur, is it?
Yeah. So how? So just the scene starts with Hotspur reading the letter, and then it says, "How now, Kate? I must leave you within these 2 hours," and then to his wife, and then this is her reply. Starts with, "Oh my good lord, why are you thus alone?"
Oh, Lady Percy.
Oh, yeah. I guess depending on what edition you're using, it would determine what they call Lady Percy. Sorry if I think the one I should change that. They call her Lady Percy. Hotspur is the nickname of her husband.
Can you give me a little bit of context? I don't know anything.
I think it's where Hotspur is preparing the rebellion to rebel against King Henry, and I think naturally he's not telling. I think if men that are doing something like that, they don't want to tell their wives too much about it. I think she's, I believe, wondering why he's keeping her so much in the dark about where he's going in the evening and so forth, and that he's involved in the rebellion against the king. I think that's the concept, if that helps. Okay, so whenever you're ready, this is Hotspur's wife.
Oh, my good lord, why are you thus alone? For what offence have I this fortnight been a banished woman from my Harry's bed? Tell me, sweet lord, what is that takes from thee thy stomach, pleasure, and thy golden sleep? Why dost thou bend thine eyes upon the earth, and start so often when thou sitt'st alone? Why hast thou lost the fresh blood in thy cheeks, and given my treasures and my rights of thee to thick-eyed musing and cursed melancholy? In thy faint slumbers I by thee have watched, and heard thee murmur tales of iron wars. Speak terms of manage to thy bounding steed, cry courage to the field, and thou hast talked of sallies and retires of trenches, tents of palisades, frontiers, parapets, of ballasts of cannon, culverin, of prisoners, ransommen, of soldiers slain, and all the currents of a heady fight. Thy spirit within thee hath been so at war, and thus hast thou bestirred thee in thy sleep, that beads of sweat have stood upon thy brow like bubbles in the late disturbed stream. And in thy face strange motions have appeared, such as we see when men restrain their breath on some great sudden hest. Oh, what portents are these? Some heavy business hath my lord in hand, and I must know it, else he loves me not. Wow, interesting speech.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
The history plays, I mean, Shakespeare always has, problem with not too many roles for women, but the history plays in particular, and then even among those, this one in particular, the women have very little role, but
this is rather like
Brutus. Hard to work into it, but again, it's a tribute to Shakespeare's genius that he realized, even though this is not about the wives, it's about the rebellion. He still wants to show all of humanity. He still wants to show the impact that this rebellion is having on their wives, and to show women are people too, even in a time when a lot of people didn't think that way, and including all of humanity, and showing the effect that this is having on.
Well, it's similar to Julius Caesar, Brutus, and what's Brutus's wife?
Brutus.
Very similar.
That's a very good. That's a very good point. That the parallels between that and what I was just observing about.
And it is about the women loving the man. In fact.
Yeah, you're right. That's another really good example. It's a Julius Caesar is the rebellion. The women aren't in any way involved because they had no place in society. But Shakespeare still doesn't want to neglect them. Wants to show just a husband-wife conversation, the effect that this is having on the women. So that's a good example. Okay. Anyway, so everybody has done a monologue at this point. We have 6 actors still with us. We had 7, but one of them had to leave us early. So we will spin to choose probably 2 or 3 scenes that will be enough to accommodate, to give a role for all 6 actors to play a short scene here. So the first short scene we're going to do will be from The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Silvia and Julia, Act 4, Scene 4, Silvia and Julia. I think this is where they figure out what that bastard Proteus is doing, and how he's being unfaithful to Julia wants Silvia, and they know about it, and they're becoming friends. Next scene, so The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Silvia and Julia. Next one, we're going to get another one. I'm going to skip this out. Look, I don't want to do too much. We're probably only going to do 3 scenes. I don't want to have 2 of them from the same play. I'm going to keep that on the wheel and not retire it, but we'll do it another time when we're not already doing something from Hamlet. This is one that's been on the wheel forever. We have not yet done it. Hamlet and Gertrude. Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended. Mother, you have my father much offended. Great scene that we have not done here yet. I've been looking forward to this one. So Hamlet and Gertrude in Act 3, Scene 4. And the last scene, this wheel doesn't want to leave that one alone. The two gentlemen. Let's get some variety here for our last scene. Romeo and Juliet. Act 3, Scene 5. I believe that's where they're parting, where he's banished and she's begging him to stay. Is it The Nightingale? That one. So for 6 actors, those are the 6 roles that we need to cast. Once again, Silvia and Julia in Two Gentlemen of Verona, Hamlet and Gertrude in Hamlet Act 3, Scene 4, and Romeo and Juliet. Those are the 6 roles we have to cast, and we will let the wheel determine who is going to have the first choice of roles. Let me eliminate the actors that are not with us today. Okay, so the person that gets the first choice amongst those 6 roles will be Ted. What would you like?
Well, I've not done a female role before, so either Silvia or Julia I'll do.
Which one?
Oh, Silvia is fine.
Okay. Cool. Okay. I've got to take Hamlet. Great. And so that's such a great scene that if I didn't get the choice to get that one, I probably would have done the gender bending like Ted did and been Gertrude in the same scene. But I'm taking Hamlet because I came up first. Next choice of roles will be you're right on the line. Henry. Henry, what would you like?
Romeo, please.
Romeo. It'll be Romeo. So Alex, Sheila, and Maggie. The next choice will be made by Maggie. Maggie, what would you like?
I think I will take Silvia. Ted had Silvia, so I'll be Julia.
Okay, so Maggie and Ted will do the first scene together. And so between Gertrude and Juliet, let's see who's going to get the choice between those 2 roles. Julia. Julia, do you want to be Gertrude or Juliet?
I'll be Gertrude.
Okay, Julia. And so that leaves Alex. So Alex will then be Juliet. So Henry and Alex are going to be the lovers in Romeo and Juliet together. So the first up, we have Ted and Maggie being Silvia and Julia in Two Gentlemen of Verona. Let me create the banner for that. Act 4, Scene 4. Have you both found the starting? I was busy.
No, hang on. I'm getting there. Act 4, Scene
4.
Scene 4.
Thank you. I wrote it in there, and then
Yeah, Julia starts with how many women would do such a message?
Okay, good. Okay. So Ted has found where to start from.
Let's see. So, yeah, okay, I have it.
Okay, so whenever the 2 of you are ready, go ahead.
Okay. How many women would do such a message? Alas, poor Proteus, thou hast entertained a fox to be the shepherd of thy lambs. Alas, poor fool, why do I pity him that with his very heart despiseth me? Because he loves her, he despiseth me, because I must pity him. This ring I gave him when he parted from me, to bind him to remember my goodwill. And now am I, unhappy messenger, to plead for that which I would not obtain, to carry that which I would have refused, to praise his faith which I would have dispraised. I am my master's true confirmed love, but cannot be true servant to my master unless I prove false traitor to myself. Yet will I woo for him, but yet so coldly as heaven knows it, I would not have him speed. Gentlewoman, good day. I pray you, be my mean to bring me where to speak with Madam Silvia.
What would you with her, if that I be she?
If you be she, I do entreat your patience to hear me speak the message I am sent on.
From whom?
From my master, Sir Proteus, madam.
Oh, he sends you for a picture?
Aye, madam.
Ursula, bring my picture here. Go give your master this. Tell him from me, one Julia, that his changing thoughts forget would better fit his chamber than his shadow.
Oh, madam, please you peruse this letter. Pardon me, madam, I have unadvised delivered you a paper that I should not. This is the letter to your ladyship.
I pray thee, let me look on that again.
Oh, it may not be. Good madam, pardon me.
There, hold. I will not look upon your master's lines. I know they are stuffed with protestations and full of new-found oaths, which he will break as easily as I do tear his paper.
Madam, he sends your ladyship this ring.
Oh, the more shame for him that he sends it me. For I have heard him say 1,000 times, his Julia gave it him at his departure. Though his false finger hath profaned the rig, mine shall not do his Julia so much wrong.
She thanks you.
What sayst thou?
I thank you, madam, that you tender her, poor gentlewoman. My master wrongs her much.
Dost thou know her?
Almost as well as I do know myself. To think upon her woes, I do protest that I have wept 100 several times.
Belike she thinks that Proteus hath forsook her.
I think she doth, and that's her cause of sorrow.
Is she not passing fair?
She hath been fairer, madam, than she is. When she did think my master loved her well, she, in my judgment, was as fair as you. But since she did neglect her looking glass and threw her sun-expelling mask away, the air hath starved the roses in her cheeks and pinched the lily tincture of her face, that now she is become as black as I.
How tall was she?
About my stature, for at Pentecost, when all our pageants of delight were played, our youth got me to play the woman's part, and I was trimmed in Madam Julia's gown, which served me as fit by all men's judgments, as if the garment had been made for me. Therefore, I know she is about my height. And at that time I made her weep a good, for I did play a lamentable part. Madam, 'twas Ariadne passioning for Theseus' perjury and unjust flight, which I so lively acted with my tears that my poor mistress, moved therewithal, wept bitterly. And would I might be dead if I in thought felt not her very sorrow.
She is beholding to thee, gentle youth. Alas, poor lady, desolate and left, I weep myself to think upon thy words. Here, youth, there is my purse. I give thee this for thy sweet mistress's sake, because thou lovest her. Farewell.
And she shall thank you for it, if e'er you know her. A virtuous gentlewoman, mild and beautiful. I hope my master's suit will be but cold, since she respects my mistress' love so much. Alas, how love can trifle with itself. Here is her picture. Let me see. I think if I had such attire, this face of mine were full as lovely as is this of hers. And yet the painter flattered her a little, unless I flatter with myself too much. Her hair is perfect yellow. If that be all the difference in his love, I'll get me some such colored periwig. Her eyes are gray as glass, and so are mine. Aye, but her forehead's low and mine's as high. What should it be that he respects in her, but I can make respected in myself, if this fond love were not a blinded God? Come, shadow, come and take this shadow up, for 'tis thy rival. Oh, thou senseless form, thou shalt be worshipped, kissed, loved, and adored. And were there sense in his idolatry, my substance should be the statue in thy stead. I'll use thee kindly for my mistress' sake that used me so, or else, by Jove, I vow, I should have scratched out your unseeing eyes to make my master out of love with thee.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so up next we have myself and Shelia being Hamlet and Gertrude. It'll be as soon as Polonius hides himself. And other than that, we can just go right through with the scene. Polonius, of course, will have his "Oh, I am slain," but there's no reason we need to say that from the point that he dies. I figure we just go on. And I figure we would start it just from "I enter, now mother, what's the matter?"
And are you going to go through the ghost also?
Oh, crap, I forgot about that. You know what?
Because you react to him, and
that's exactly what I was going to say. We don't need the ghost. I can say my lines as if the ghost is there. Mm-hmm. And it might even make it look better because the whole idea is the audience sees what Gertrude is seeing, that Hamlet is mad, that he's talking to something that isn't really there. Even though, and the way that Shakespeare wrote it, the ghost is there, and it's just that Gertrude can't see it. But you know what? I hadn't even thought of that. I'm glad you brought that up, and that immediately popped into my head as soon as you said it. I think let's just do that. I'll react to the ghost as if it's there, and then the audience will see what you're seeing. That I'm mad that I'm reacting to a ghost that isn't really there. So, are you ready to start?
Yes.
With it? Okay. Now, mother, what is the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Oh, come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, you answer with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
No. By the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife. And would it or not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then, I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come, and sit you down, you shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
Oh, what wilt thou do? Will thou not murder me? Help!
What? How now? A rat? Dead. For a ducat? Dead!
Oh, me, what hast thou done?
Nay, I know not. Is it the king?
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed this is!
A bloody deed. Almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
As kill a king?
Aye, lady, 'twas my word. Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool, farewell. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou finds to be too busy in some danger. Leave wringing of your hands. Peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff, if damned custom have not brassed it so, that it is proof and bulwark against sense.
What have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love, and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as dicers' oaths. Such a deed as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes a rhapsody of words. Heaven's face doth glow, yea, this solidity and compound mask with tristful visage as against the doom is thought sick at the act.
Ay me, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Look here, upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See, what a grace was seated on this brow, Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten and command, a station like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. Combination, and a form indeed where every god did seem to set his seal, to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband! Look you now, what follows? Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Have you eyes? You cannot call it love. For at your age, the heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble. Waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this? Sense sure you have, else could you not have motion. But sure, that sense is applexed, for madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserves some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. What devil was't that thus hath cozened you at hoodlum blind, eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all? But a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. Oh, shame! Where is thy blush? Rebellious hell, if thou canst mutine in the matron's bones to flaming youth, let virtue be as wax and melt in her own fire. Claim no shame when the compulsion ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will.
Oh, Hamlet! Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turn'st mine eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their taint.
In the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeyed and making love over the nasty sty.
Oh, speak to me no more! These words like daggers enter mine ears no more, sweet Hamlet!
A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part the tithe of your precedent lord. A cut-purse of the empire and the rule that from a self and precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket.
No more!
A king of shreds and patches. Safe. And hover o'er me with your wings. You heavenly guards, what would your gracious figure?
Oh, alas, he is mad.
Do you not come your tardy son to chide, that lapsed in time and passion, let go by the important acting of your dread command? Oh, say! How is't with you, lady?
Alas, how is't with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse? Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep, and as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair like life in excrement starts up and stands on end. Oh, gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper sprinkle cool patience. Whereon do you look?
On him! On him! Look you, how pale he gazes, his form and cause conjured, preaching to stones would make them capable. Do not look upon me, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern offense. That what I have to do wilt want true color, tears perchance for blood.
To whom do you speak this?
Do you see nothing there?
No, nothing at all. Yet all that is I see.
Now do you nothing hear?
No, nothing but ourselves.
Why, look you there. Oh, look how it steals away. My father, in his habit as he lived. Look where he goes, even now, out at the portal.
This, the very coinage of your brain, this bodiless creation, ecstasy is very cunning in.
Ecstasy! My pulse, as yours, doth temperately keep time, and makes as healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test. I the matter will reword, which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that mattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass, but my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come, and do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker. Forgive me, this my virtue. For in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon beg. Yea, curb and woo, for leave to do him good.
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
Throw away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half. Good night. But go not to mine uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. That monster custom, who all sense doth eat, of habit's devil is angel yet in this, that to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence. The next more easy. For use almost can change the stamp of nature. And either I the devil or throw him out with wondrous potency. Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I'll blessing beg of you. With this same Lord I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me. Then I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel only to be kind. Thus bad begins, and worse remains behind. One word more, good lady.
What shall I do?
Not this, by no means, that I bid you do. Let the bloat king tempt you to again to bed. Pinch wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse, and let him for a pair of reachy kisses or patting in your neck with his damned fingers make you ravel all this matter out. that I essentially am not in madness, but mad as craft. 'Twere good you let him know, for who that's but a queen, fair, sober, wise, would from him a paddock, from a bat, a gib, such dear concernings hide? Who would do so? No. In despite of sense and secrecy, unpeg the basket on the house's top. Let the birds fly, and, like the famous ape, to try conclusions, in the basket creep, and break your own neck down.
Be thou assured, if words be made of breath, and breath of life, I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me.
I must to England, you know that.
Alack, I had forgot 'tis so concluded on.
There's letter sealed, and my two schoolfellows, whom I will trust as I will adders fang, they bear the mandate. They must sweep my way and marshal me to knavery. Let it work. It is the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard, and shall go hard, but I will delve 1 yard below their minds and blow them at the moon. It is most sweet when in one line 2 crafts discreetly meet. This man shall set me packing. I'll lug the guts into the neighbor room. Mother, good night. Indeed, this counselor is now most still, most secret, and most grave, who was in life a foolish, prating knave. Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you. Good night, mother. Hey. A lot of fun doing that one. So lastly, we will do our Romeo and Juliet scene. We got Alex and Henry. Okay.
Can I just say that Mark and Julia, you that was fantastic. What a wonderful kind of sweep of emotion and a wonderful dynamic between the two of you. Wonderful, absolutely mesmerizing, actually.
Yeah. That was so hard not to. That's such a great scene. It's hard not to get him to get swept up in it.
Yeah. And the other thing, Alex, shall we just cut out the nurse and keep going?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. Okay, so whenever you're ready, Romeo and Juliet, Act 3, Scene 4.
Wilt thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale, and not the lark, that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on yon pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale.
It was the lark, the herald of the morn. Lo, nightingale, look, love, what envious streaks do lace the severing clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and jocund day stands tiptoe in the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live, or stay and die.
Yon light is not daylight. I know it. Aye, it is some meteor that the sun exhales to be to thee this night a torch-bearer, and light thee on thy way to Mantua. Therefore, stay yet. Thou needest not to be gone.
Let me be ta'en. Let me be put to death. I am content, so thou wilt have it so. I'll say yon grey is not the morning's eye, but 'tis the pale wreath flecks of Cynthia's brow, nor that it is the lark, whose notes do beat the vaulty heaven so high above our heads. I have more care to stay than will to go. Come, death, and welcome. Juliet wills it so. How is my soul? Let's talk. It is not day.
It is. High hands, be gone away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords of unpleasing sharps. Some say the lark makes sweet division. This doth not so, for she divided us. Some day the lark and loaded thoughts change eyes. Oh, now I would they had changed voices too. Since arm from arm that voice doth us affray, hunting thee hence with hands up to the day. Oh, now be gone, more light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes.
Then window, let day in and let life out.
Farewell, farewell, one kiss and I'll descend.
Art thou gone so? Laugh, Lord, husband, friend. I must hear from thee every day in the hour, for in a minute there are many days. Oh, by this count I shall be much in years ere I again behold my Romeo.
Farewell, I will admit no opportunity that may convey my greetings, love, to thee.
Oh, thinkst thou we shall ever meet again?
I doubt it not, and all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our time to come.
Oh God, I have an ill divining soul. Methinks I see thee now thou art below, and one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Either my eyesight fails, or thou lookst pale.
And trust me, love, in my eyes, so do you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu, adieu.
Oh, fortune, fortune. All men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for fate? Be fickle, fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back.
Thank you, Alex. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you too.
Okay, very nice, both of you. Great performances from everybody today. Will mention Eager Beaver Shakespeare is doing we did about a month ago part 1 of Henry IV, and with Sheila being an awesome female Falstaff. We're doing part 2 of that tomorrow. I am going to try to. I mean, I have an audition later. And I'm filming something. I got a lot on my plate tomorrow, but I'm going to rush. I think I can just barely make it, so I can still participate. Myself, Sheila. I think Ted is myself, Sheila, and Ted. Sorry, Ted is also playing the king. So you want to check that out. I think because I'm going to be away, I'll just on my phone. I can sign into Zoom so that I can still participate, but I won't be able to stream it to my YouTube channel here. But check it out. You'll look up Eager Beaver Shakespeare on Facebook to see that. Does anybody else have any other announcements before we wrap up today's show? I think there's a few enough.
Well, I just wanted to ask you about Eager Beaver. Is it already cast, or can one just turn up and get a role, or what?
You know, I believe he's already cast, but a lot of people don't show and so forth. If you just if you message Vincent, he might very well, because he ends up always reassigning roles based on people that just don't show up. So it probably wouldn't hurt for you to just show up there and ask. You can email myself, Sheila, or Ted. We would both have Vincent. We can pass on Vincent's email to you, and you can ask him. So I'm sure they.
What time is it tomorrow?
It would be 12:30. It's 12:30 our time, Henry, California time, 3:30 East Coast time. So half an hour after the time that we always do this.
Right. And what's the play again?
Henry IV, Part 2. I just wanted to mention that Vincent's spent an enormous amount of time multiple casting each person. So it would be hard for him to juggle unexpectedly, but if somebody does not show up, that means there are 5 parts that need to be filled. So he would very much appreciate somebody being available if that were to happen.
Yeah, and if you
well, you can come as a standby or understudy.
And even if you're just a standby for that one, I mean, I'm sure by contacting him, he'd put you on the list to include you in future readings. They do it, I think, every other. We do ours every Saturday. He does his every other Sunday.
And all of the plays for the rest of the year have been scheduled, and some parts have been requested and assigned. But he always updates people on what parts are available, even for December. So it would be very easy to pick a date you're available and pick a part.
So is there a Facebook group or a group or something with information?
You just type in Eager Beaver Shakespeare on Facebook. That should pop up. And I can pass you on. I can pass Vincent's email address on to you, so that you can contact him that way. Any other announcements of anything upcoming that the people watching the stream might be interested in watching? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Great performances today. I look forward to seeing you same time next week. Bye now.
Thank you, Mark.